Are you renting and curious about what it looks like to take that next step into homeownership? Well, this episode is for you because we are giving an overview of what it looks like to buy and actually close on your next house here on the Central Coast of California. Welcome back to the Happy House Hacking Podcast, the podcast designed to help you achieve homeownership here in California. We're your hosts, Camille and Owen Schwaegerle. We are happy house hackers, realtors, and real estate investors. And on today's episode, we are going to put you through a first-time buyer boot camp. So buckle up, get ready to get some reps in as we share more about how you can buy your first home in today's market.
Let's face the reality. Buying a house is expensive. If you look at the prices on property in California right now, you get sticker shock. You're like, what? Is it seriously that much money for that property? I can't believe it. And it's true. Right now, prices are higher, rates are higher, affordability seems near impossible. So how can a first-time buyer actually get into the market? That's exactly what we're going to talk about here. So let's just start with the framework for what it looks like to buy a property. So if you are renting right now, you know, you've heard it before, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. You know that deep down, you want to own your own home for the stability that you have in ownership. Plus, you can create equity through paying down the principal on your loan and capturing market appreciation. So you feel that. So now what do we do? So here's the outline. Okay, so number one, how's your financial situation? First, we just got to check on your financial situation and get your financial house in order. Before you buy, this is really important.
Yeah. So if you are single or married, this is relevant to you. Where are you spending your money, right? If you are making $5,000 a month, but at the end of every month, you only have $200 left in your bank account. Okay, where's your money going, right? So something you could do is you could print out your bank statements, highlight everything that can be something to keep, something that you don't need, and something to definitely cancel, like maybe a hidden membership that you forgot about. Or a subscription to a service that you don't use anymore. So that could be a great exercise for you just to know where your money's going. Then from there, you can think about ways to increase your overall income, right? Maybe you bake cookies on the side and sell them in your neighborhood, or you DoorDash or do an instant cart or do something to help make sure you're bringing in as much money as possible in order to save more rapidly.
Yeah, that is a fun exercise. Camille and I did that recently. We took a red highlighter, a green highlighter, and a yellow highlighter.
Yeah.
Printed out year-to-date bank statements and went through every single item and credit card statements. And then you take the highlighter. If it's green, it's a cost that you keep. If it's yellow, you ask like, what is this for? And you measure, is this really giving me a return in my life that's worth this investment or this cost or not? And then red highlighter, those are costs you cut immediately. And we were surprised by a lot of different things that we were spending money on that we forgot about, or subscriptions we didn't really need, or there's better software alternatives for certain things that we were paying for. So you really got to hold your money accountable and get back to those basic budgeting principles to control it. Because what gets measured gets managed. And you want to tell your money where to go instead of asking, where did it go?
Exactly, especially if you have debt to pay down, like a car payment or maybe student loans. You will have a good idea of your debt to income ratio if you actually put pen to paper and see how much money you have versus how much debt you have. And then you can come up with, a debt snowball strategy. Dave Ramsey talks a lot about the debt snowball, and it's a phenomenal tactic to actually get pay down of this.
Yeah.
And so by getting your financial house in order, you will be that much more financeable to buy a home.
One of our clients and friends, they were feeling under the weight of debt. They had accrued $19,000 in debt from cars to credit cards to all these things in their life, and it was weighing down on them heavily. And we shared Dave Ramsey's book, Total Money Makeover. And he read through that thing and highlighted it and made a game plan and got fired up, started listening to that guy's podcast. And within a 3-month period, he had paid off all the debt completely.
Yeah, he sold cars. He sold junky things that he didn't need anymore. He was vigilant about paying it down so that way he
Yeah.
could be in a better financial state.
That's it. You just got to be fired up. You have to have that hunger to survive, to pay it down, to thrive. And it can be done in a shorter time period than you think if you're willing to make the sacrifice.
Yep. So then once you have a good understanding of your current financial state, that's the perfect time to reach out to a trusted real estate agent or team to have a thorough strategy meeting about how to get into home ownership. And in our consultations, what we do is we always talk about the home buying process, the reality of the market, and we also connect each of our clients with a few different lenders so that way they can learn more about the loan programs that are best for them and their individual needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then as you're working on this, I mean, we had a client recently pay only $12,000 out of pocket to close on a home. We had another client pay a similar amount, but they also had family gift them about half. And so they were able to get in with less out of pocket. So this is incredible. People are still doing this. First-time home buyers are getting in to home ownership here on the Central Coast of California.
And the majority of buyers we work with don't have parents who are able to give them money. So that was a special situation. What we see is that people are able to get creative
Mhm.
in what they buy in order to get their foot in the door to be able to upsize later. And that comes down to just hard work, sacrifice, and changing your expectations of what your first house looks like.
Yeah. And then talking to a lender.
Yep.
The next step, talk to a lender, see what loan programs there are available right now. There's some really great ones. The FHA 3.5% down is good for first-time home buyers. There's the conventional 3% down, another great option. There's even Cal HAFA. California has some down payment assistance programs where they provide grants to help you come up with your closing costs. So there are options to get people in with less money out of pocket than you would expect.
Yep. So during your strategy meeting with your realtor, talk about those creative options. You know, our favorite obviously is the house hacking strategy. And that's something you can do pretty much for the rest of your life, right? Whether that's buying a multifamily apartment unit, maybe it's 3, 4 units, you live in one, you rent out the others. Or you buy a house with a number of bedrooms that works for your needs and you rent out the extra rooms you're not using. Or you buy a house, you convert the garage to an ADU, or you buy a house that has land in the back to add an ADU and you rent that out to be able to get extra income. There are multiple ways to house hack,
Mm-hmm.
and that is definitely worth exploring, especially if this is your first home because mortgage rates are high. So if you are able to bring in a few hundred to maybe 1,000 extra dollars per month to help pay that mortgage, that will be significant.
Yeah. Yeah, if the average rental rate in San Luis Obispo is somewhere around $1,000 to $1,500 per bedroom, if you rented out 2 bedrooms, that could be an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month coming in that you could then use directly to go pay your mortgage, and just that's a lot less out of pocket each month. Giving you that financial flexibility and freedom, a little bit more buffer in your budget, which can help you save towards your other investing goals.
Yeah, I was just talking to a colleague who said she's owned her home for 41 years. And the last 2 years, she and her husband have lived alone for the very first time because when they first got married 41 years ago, they were renting out rooms. And then they had kids. And then they continued to rent out rooms to different people that they knew who needed help, but also as a way to get more money. Well, now, she is sitting on a pile of equity, right? And she was so smart to be able to have someone else help contribute to that equity that she now has.
Okay, so you've talked to a lender, you've gotten pre-approved. Now's the fun part. You get to go shopping. And there's a lot of great resources and tools that we provide our clients, including access to the multiple listing service where you can browse properties available immediately, see what's coming out. You can have realtor-like access through our portal on our website. And then if you see something you like that fits your needs, we schedule a tour.
Yeah. And that's always the most exciting part of our
Yeah.
job is when we can go out, look at a home, see if that works for your needs. And what we also recommend is, let's say you're pre approved for $700,000, right? In today's market, let's just be more conservative and start looking at homes that are at max 650, just in case we need to compete. But maybe we end up buying a house closer to 600 in order to give you that buffer room. And sure, you can afford a payment of what it would cost to buy a $700,000 home, but you don't have to spend that, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. And that's something I do share with buyers a lot is just because you can afford it doesn't mean you should. That might not be in your financial best interest.
Yeah. And the properties that you want to go check out and see, like if you see something online, we can show it to you, and we go out and we'll tour it, we'll rate it, we'll say does this work or not. And of course, due to the change in the real estate industry prior to scheduling showings, you do need to have a signed buyer agreement with your realtor. So just wanted to make sure you knew that so you could be prepared for going through that process.
Yeah. And then you find the house you love and you can write an offer. And that's also an exciting part of this process because it feels more real. Like, all right, this is a home I could picture myself living in. Let's talk about writing an offer. Now, it's important to note that writing an offer is not an obligation to actually purchase it, right? We might get outbid and we might not even have the opportunity to buy it. Or we might get it under contract, do some inspections, find out there's an issue, we can cancel and move on. So just because you write an offer and if your offer is accepted, that doesn't mean you'll end up with the house because it's really not over until it's over.
Definitely. Yes. And I wanted to add that oftentimes people think I need to wait till the open house before I can even see this property. And that's not true. You can contact us as your agents at any point throughout the process to schedule a private tour. So we're definitely happy to set those up to go tour and check out properties for you.
Yep. Yep. And on private tours, that's often when we talk about offer writing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we come up with our game plan sometimes at the kitchen table of the house that we want to write an
Mm-hmm.
offer on, because that's where we are seeing, okay, the better we come to terms and collaborate on a win-win offer, the better our chances are of actually getting accepted.
Yeah, I know. And it all depends on seller motivation and how competitive that listing is. If it's been on the market for 90 plus days, sitting, no offers, that's like an opportunity to come in below asking, negotiate, get some credits, that type of thing. That's a great situation to be in. However, if it's a brand new hot listing, like great photos, staged well, looks amazing, chances are we're not the only one that like it and want to write an offer on it. The best homes always sell the quickest. So we may need to make our strategy more competitive. And so we have a menu of options on things we can do in our offer writing to make it more competitive to get the sellers to go with us versus some of the other offers.
Yeah. And also keep in mind when you are writing your offer, you do have contingencies in place that protect you, right? So you have your inspection contingency, which allows you to be able to do inspections on a property, like a home inspection, a pest inspection, maybe a roof inspection, chimney inspection, and get bids back during that time frame in order to see, hey, how much is this house actually going to cost me in repairs once I own it? And if it's over a certain amount, maybe that's not worth it to you. Or maybe it's worth negotiating with the seller to bring the price down in order to get to the closing table. So we have that opportunity to renegotiate while we're in escrow through our inspection contingency.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have our appraisal and our loan contingency, which just confirms that we have the purchasing power from the underwriter to buy the house. And the appraiser has signed off on the house saying, yes, you're paying fair market value and it's in good habitable condition for you to live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we also have an insurance contingency. So with the fires in California, insurance costs have gone up in a lot of areas. We want to make sure that you are protected and you'll know what that monthly cost will be for your insurance moving forward. And if you're not satisfied, we can cancel, keep shopping, or renegotiate. So we have a lot of contingencies in our offers that we put to protect the buyer and make sure they're totally protected and satisfied with the property.
So once we make it through all those hurdles and we actually get to the closing table where we're signing loan documents and we close escrow, we've just run a marathon because it's a fast 30 days, sometimes 21 days, and it's intense, it flies by, but we know we've made it through a big deal once we're at the table signing docs.
Mm-hmm.
So once escrow closes, you are now the new homeowner. We get to give you the keys, which is one of the favorite parts of our jobs. And you get to start building wealth and establishing your own financial freedom through home ownership. So even if your first home is not an investment property, you are still a step ahead of someone else who's renting. And that's what we want to hit home today is that no matter what life stage you're in, if you're single, if you're married, if you're going to be in an area for at least 2 to 3 years and you're going to be established there, let's talk about buying because that will set you up for success when you do have to move in a few years. You have that equity that you can use to roll into your next property at the next location you move in. If you're someone who's in a more transient stage of life where you're here for a few months, maybe less than a year, buying probably isn't right for you, just given your life stage. But for the majority of people, buying is always an option as long as you're willing to put in
Mm-hmm.
the work it takes to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to think big picture, long term. The amount of wealth created through home ownership is huge because it compounds monthly. And so the statistics show that the median net worth of a renter is $10,000 and the median net worth of a homeowner is $400,000. So we are trying to educate more and more people and move them from the renting camp to the home ownership camp so they can benefit from that equity. And that's their nest egg. That gives them options, freedom, flexibility, retirement, and it gives you the ability to provide for your family. So we're super passionate about that. And this may sound overwhelming. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on here, and that's why we gave you this quick little boot camp. However, there's over 180 steps in a real estate transaction. So if you're feeling overwhelmed at all by anything we've talked about, reach out to us and ask your questions. We want to meet with you and set up a time to do a strategy session where we can go through your current stage in life, where you're at, and help you make that game plan to get into your next home.
And even if you're not located on California's Central Coast, reach out to us because we have an extensive referral network where we can refer you to a top agent in your area to help you achieve your goal of owning a home. So, no matter where you are in the country, reach out to us if you would like to learn more about how to buy a house.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Please like and subscribe to our podcast and share this with someone you think would benefit from it.